Welcome to the next session in this web development with Spring and Hibernates. Now we are just going to discuss the server component. We have already seen that basically what is the client server architecture and what is the use of the client server architecture. Now here we are just using and then the learning basically the server side components basically. So we are just talking about the Java, J2EE, Java to Enterprise editions, and you will see the basic server side components and all the new frameworks which we are built on top of a Java. Basically these frameworks or server side components or server side any component like REST APIs or controllers, it is built on top of these basic components. So this is a basically a servlet. You need to understand how the servlet works. Okay, so what are the servlets? Is basically Java servlets are programs that run on the web or the application server and acts as a middle layer between the requests coming from the web browser and any other HTTP client and the database or application on the HTTP server. So basically, we already discussed that there is the server components and the application which is running at the server side. So that is we are talking about. We already seen that there is will be a host machine hardware. On top of host machine there will be a server which is providing a runtime environment. That runtime environment is provided by the server like a Tomcat or JBoss or so WebLogic, WebSphere, any other things like that. And on this server environment or the server component, we run our own server component. Okay, that is called as the servlet. So using servlet, you can collect input from the users through a web page, forms, present the records from a database or another source, and create a web page dynamically. So you once you receive the request through this HTTP form, we have already seen that how we can submit the data from the browser through form and through action. It is hitting to a particular server component. The server component receives it, and in request we already know that there is a two part. One is a header, one is a body. Header contains majorly metadata, data about the data. Body contains basically the main data. Let's say if you have user ID and password, if you wanted to just send it for a creation, so you will create that user ID and password will be under the body. Okay, so that servlet will receive the data. Okay, so that's when this we will receive the data. Okay, and we will understand how this server will receive the data is here. Okay, so that server component is also you can say server side components, and in server side components you need to use the libraries and some of the jars which is basically helping to identify the server this servlet classes here. So that is you need to use it in the runtime and then you can start developing it. Okay, then when you are writing it there are lifecycle methods and others that is also we're going to discuss. So Java servlets often serve the same purpose as a programming implementation using the common gateway interfaces (CGI), but servlets offer several advantages in comparison with the CGI. Okay, so you don't need to confuse about it. You just think like this only. There are common gateway interfaces are also there. So performance is significant better. Servlet executes within the address space of a web server. It is not necessary to create a separate process to handle each client request. That is also you need to understand here. Servlets are platform independent because they are written in the Java. Very important point. Java security managers on the server enforces set up a restriction to protect the resources on the server machine so the servlet are trusted. So basically Java security managers and security APIs are also available to restrict the accesses. That is also we'll just see and we'll learn it in down the line when we will think about we will do some implementation or coding related to security. The full functionality of the Java class libraries is available to a servlet. It can communicate with the applets, databases, or other softwares via the sockets and RMI mechanism that you have seen already. The full functionality of the Java class library is available to the servlet. Okay, so all the Java class libraries is available to a servlet. It can communicate with applets database in other softwares via socket. Servlet can also communicate with any other Java program through socket and RMI like that. If you have any other component which is just plain built into a Java application, plain Java application, so servlet can also communicate like that. Okay. So, server architecture. The following diagrams will show web browser. We will send this HTTP protocol, HTTP servlet, servlet program, and database. So, it is not mandatory you have a database every time. If you have some details stored into your property files, or maybe just put every details into a standalone, just one single program in servlet, that is okay. But these two components, HTTP server and this servlet program, both are important. So, you should have at least one server component has to be running on this HTTP server, and HTTP server is installed on the hardware machine. That hardware machine in somewhere in the domain or the premises of the company like that. Web browser can anyone all over the world can access it, provided that browser or that particular access is available, right? So it is not like anybody can access that web browser, only some certain people can access it, so that security can be imposed on top of it. So servlet performs the following major tasks. So read the explicit data sent by the client browser, basically which we are sending from the form. Whatever input text or file or area, anything, whatever we have that from the form, when we click on the submit button in the form, this form is getting submitted. That form data is sent to a server through a get and post method. So we have seen that discussion. What is the difference between get and post? So if you are considering post method, the data will be not available in the URL. It will be just inside that. It will go through the HTTP protocol. This includes the HTML form and web page, and includes come from the applet or customer HTTP clients. So there can be multiple clients. Maybe I already told you that there can be applet, that is a swing based applications, or maybe a HTTP any other Java clients. So you can also send that request to a server from a plain Java code. But here we are just talking about the web browser. So you just think about the web browser at this starting point. So read the implicit HTTP request data sent by the client browsers, and this includes the cookies, media types, and the compression schemes the browser understand, and so forth. So it will read the HTTP request data sent by the client. So this basically it is a header and the body. It will read both the things. Based on the header, it will process the data. So process the data and generate the result. So how once it is receive the request, it will understand, okay, so these are the data is coming into a request, and then I need to generate the response. So the process may require taking to a database execution, an RMI or CORBA call, invoking a web service, or computing a response. So you can develop any logic inside that method or at the servlet code. It's up to you. So whatever, if you wanted to send to any other application, if you wanted to just generate the response, send it. So that is the things you can do. Send the explicit data, that is a document, to a client browser. This document can be sent of a variety of formats, including a text, HTML, XML, binaries, Excels, anything. So in response, you can send any type of data. It's a plain text data, which is in the form of string. Maybe you can send it different Java objects. You can send it any other XMLs. You can send in binary images or Excel unit file as well. Send the implicit HTTP response to a clients browsers. That includes telling the browsers or other clients what type of document is being returned, that is HTML, setting the cookies and caching the parameters and such tasks. So basically, when we are sending it, it is also sending the cookies and other caching parameters. That is also we'll see when we are just reading some more details about the servlet. So you will understand where this cookies is getting used. It so servlet package. So I hope till that you got that what the servlet is actually does. Java servlets are Java classes. You don't need to think too much. It's a just Java classes. run by the web server and has the interpreter supports the Java servlet specification. Servlets can be created using a javax.servlet and javax.servlet.http packages, which are the standard part of a Java's Enterprise Edition, as expanded version of the Java class library that supports large-scale development projects. So that is basically a J2EE. These classes implements the Java Servlet and JSP specifications at the time of writing this. The versions are Java Servlet 2.5 and JSP 2.1, and maybe you can see if these versions or latest version came up also, you can see it. Java Servlet has been created and compiled just like other Java classes. After you install the servlet packages, add them to your computer class paths. You are compile servlets with the JDK's Java compiler and any other current compiler. So you already know that you need to set up the compiler and JRE, other things like that. If so, here we also see that we will set up through the Eclipse. In Eclipse, you need to know that how to set up the JRE and other things. If you are using any other, then you need to specify in the Java Home and other. You need to provide that into a class path as well in the path as well. Okay. So what is the next? So basically, it is setting up the environment. So environment setup. A development environment. How to set up a development? A developer is where you would develop your servlet, test them, and finally run them. So like any other Java program, you need to compile a servlet by using a Java compiler, Java C, and after compilation, the servlet application it would be deployed in a configured environment to test and run it. So you need to develop. So normally we already know that we use that Eclipse, so we will develop that servlet component into Eclipse, and then we will deploy into a server. So that is a basically a environment. So servlet, so we will use that Tomcat as a server. That is a free of cost, you can download it and you can use it for it is a basically a web server. And so we will deploy our application, this server component, or this our J2E applications, as you can say, that servlet into a Tomcat. So how we can set it up? Setting up this Java development kit. The step involved downloading Java Software Development Kit SDK and setting up the path. So basically, you need to just on setting up that JRE and JDK. Use it JDK 1.8. Once you download, and so you need to specify this JDK. That is very path and Java Home you need to specify. Alternatively, you can set up that environment variables, that is you can do it. So you can specify set up the path and class path through a cmd command line or maybe through a environment variables. So you can just right click on your computer, then properties, environment, advanced settings, and then environment variables, then environment properties, and then advanced, and then environment variables. Add these variables into a system variables and edit these variables basically, you can see. If Java Home you need to edit, path you need to edit it. Setting up the web server Tomcat. So that is very important, as we already discussed that web server. Now the Tomcat is actually a web server. What is the requirement of a web server? So whatever servlet which we are Java classes are basically a servlet which we are going to develop it. This servlet has to run it. So it is not running just like a plain Java application. We need to provide the environment. So Tomcat is providing as the container where the servlet is going to run it. A number of web servers that support the servlets are available in the market. Some web servers are freely downloadable, just like a Tomcat. So Apache Tomcat is an open source software implementation of the Java servlet, and Java Server Pages technologies can act as a standard server for testing the servlets and can be integrated with the Apache web server. Here are the steps to set up a Tomcat on your machine. So download the version, so you can just go into tomcat.apache.org. Once you downloaded and installed, unpack, you need to unzip the binary basically. See Apache here. Okay, and then you need to set up that Catalina home. Again, you need to create as an environment variable Catalina home, and you can specify basically, and you can give this Tomcat home on this path. So Tomcat can be started by executing the following command in Windows. This So in Catalina Home, whatever, so this Catalina Home, nothing but this Tomcat. Inside that, you will find that one bin folder. In bin, you have a startup.bat. You need to run this startup.bat. So this is the way you can run it, or you can just open the command prompt and you just paste it. This path is basically you need to understand where this Tomcat you have put it. So Tomcat can be started by executing the following commands by Unix. So that is the uh, .sh is basically on the Unix. You don't need to on local environment. You don't need to use this because generally we don't have Linux on the local. We have a Windows, so we will use that earlier approach. So this is the way. Now after startup, the default web application, including the Tomcat, will be available by visiting http://localhost 8080. So this default port where the Tomcat is running, you can also change the port, but as of now you don't need to think about and you can change the server.properties. But here will not that change it. You just see, you think like this 8080 is a default port available for the Tomcat. So you see this web page once this Tomcat is up, localhost 8080. So further info about the configuring and running the Tomcat can be found at the documentation that tomcat.apache.org. That is, you can see it if you wanted to configure doing other things for server configuration. So there is a many things you can do it. As of now, you don't need to focus on this. You just starting because you don't need to think too much. You just set it up and get up and running. So for when you wanted to shut down it, you can just you have a shutdown.bat. You can run in the bin shutdown.bat. You can run this command. It will be stop it. Now setting up the class path. Since the servlet are not part of the Java platform standard, you must specify the servlet classes to a compiler. So if you are running the Windows, you need to put the following lines in your auto.exe.bat. So basically, if you wanted to make any bat file for running it, so bat file is nothing but you can just double click on running rather than to put all the commands every time into a command prompt. You can create a bat file. So all the commands you can put it into a bat file, Windows commands, okay, and you can save this simple text file as a bat file.bat, and then you can put it. So here we are just saying that set Catalina. So this Catalina home and class path you can just see it here. So we are editing this class path in nothing, but if you will already edited or maybe into this class paths environment variable, then that is also okay. Set environment is in the Unix. You don't need to focus on the Unix. You can do it, but yes, assuming that you are developing directory is C server development is, so that's why we are just using it. Now the servlet lifecycle. So I hope till that time you got that what is the servlet, how we can install the Tomcat, what is and how to set up the environment. So we have seen that we need to specify path, class path, JDK environment. Already we have done the setup. Now Tomcat you need to specify Catalina home. You need to specify that your path and class path, and so that the environment is up and running. So servlet lifecycle can be defined as the entire process from its creation till the destruction. The following are the paths following by the servlet. The servlet is initialized by calling init method. So in servlet, basically three lifecycle method. One is a init, one is a service, one is a destroy. The init method is basically for initialization. You can see, you need to know, right? Basically, in earlier sessions in the constructor, we know that, right? So in the constructor is basically we use for initialization for all the parameters of Java classes, right? So in the same way, it is not a constructor because constructor can also be there in a servlet, but init method for initializing some parameters. We will see how we can initialize because you can specify some of the initialization parameter in web.xml and you can access through this init method. Then service method is the main method. Basically all the core logic, it's a heart of the servlet. Basically service method, all the logic will be available in the service method. So every time a new request coming, it will come to a service method. Whatever logic you have written into a service, it will be getting executed, and then it is generating a response. Destroy is basically As for terminating by calling the destroy method, if any logic if you wanted to put, you can just override the method you gave it. So the init method is called only once. Remember once. So once this servlet is getting instantiated, the init method calls once. Basically, when we first time sending a request to a servlet and we are accessing a servlet, the moment this is getting instantiated, our servlet is getting created, the first time this init method is created. Okay, every time this init will not be getting called and not called for any user request afterward. So it is used for one time initialization, just as with the init method of our applets. So only once it is getting called, not every request, right? The servlet is normally created when the user first invoke a URL corresponding to a servlet. But you can also specify that the servlet is loaded when the servlet is first started. So that is also you can specify there is a tags are available load on startups. So that you need to understand basically. When a user invokes a servlet, a single instance of each servlet get created, and each user request resulting in a new thread. Very important point. Each request resulting in a new thread that is handed off to a do get and do post as a appropriate. Okay, these are nothing but a service method. The init method simply creates or loads some of the data that is used throughout the life of the servlet. So basically, if you wanted to do something that is initialization or any you wanted to initialize any parameters that is used for throughout the life cycle of a servlet, that you can put it. So that is you should know that why we are using init and what is the use of constructor. Can we have a constructor and init both simultaneously? What is the use of constructor? What is the use of init? Okay. Now that what is the difference, or is that each and every request belongs to just resulting a new thread? So is that servlet is thread safe or not? All these things you need to be understand. So the service method is the main method perform the actual task. The servlet container, a web server, calls the service method to handle a request coming from the client browser, and it write the formatted response back to the client. This is a basically we need to understand. Each time the server receive a request for a servlet, the server spawns the new threads and calls the service. The service method checks the HTTP request type get, post, put, delete, and calls the do get, do post, do delete, etc. methods and appropriate. So there can be a different type of method: do get, do post, do put, or do delete like that. These are basically a different type of service method and the type of request type. So what are the request type we will specify in the form. You understand, right? We have seen that the method. So when we specify get, post, put, accordingly it will call the particular method. So this is the way. This is the basically a method signature for service methods, servlet requests, servlet response like that. The service method is called by the container, and the service method invoke do get, do post, do delete. Accordingly, whatever method we have specified. So you have nothing to do with the service method, but you override either a do get and do post. So basically, we are overriding this. Okay, depending on what type of request you receive from the client. So do get and do post are most frequently used method in the each service request. Here is the signature. So do get. So do get method, a get method request results from a nothing, is normal request for a URL or from the HTML form that has no method specified and should be handled by the do get. If you are not specifying any method, then do get method will be called. So you should have that do get method. So default, if you don't have, that is also the question can come up. You need to know that do post method, do post request results from HTML form that specify this post as the method, and it should be handled by the do post. So when you specify as a method as a post in our form, then it will become to a do post. So that is the basically, and you can specify the logic here. Destroy, the destroy method is called only once at the time of the life cycle of a servlet. This method gives your servlet a chance to close database connections like halt background threads, write cookies list, or hit counts to disk and perform other such cleanup activities. This method gives you servlet a chance to close database connections. So there are let's say different, if you have using a files, so for cleanup activities you need to close the files. Database connections, if you have a database connections opens, you need to close. So any cleanup activities you can perform in the destroy method. So this is the basically a destroy method you can edit. Architecture pattern diagram here. The following figure depicts the servlet lifecycle scenarios. First, the HTTP requests coming to the server are delegated to a servlet container. A servlet container loads the servlet before invoking the service method. The servlet container handles the multiple requests by spanning multiple threads, each thread executing a service method of a single instance of a servlet. So the servlet instance will be same. Every time new request coming, it will spawn a new thread, and new thread will come directly to a service. It will not start from init. It will come to a service method. So if somebody will ask that servlets are thread safe, no, it is not thread safe. Why? Because if there are some servlet level parameters and it is used by the services, if thread A manipulates this servlet level parameter, thread B will get some different values. So these are not a thread safe components. And request to a servlet container web server. So this is the basically box where you have this Java virtual machines and servlet container, that is nothing but a Tomcat. So this is the basically flow. I hope you got the point how the servlet runs and what are the things are basically available with us with the servlet programming.